Am I the jerk for giving up my baby without my ex's consent after he abandoned us when he found out I was pregnant and left us without a father? Posted by you/much comment 1327. I, 32F, had a baby boy when I was 16. Yes, I know how that sounds. No, we weren't careful. Judge me all you want on that front, I've dealt with that for years. Mike, 33M, was my boyfriend then, and when I found out about my pregnancy, he disappeared with help from his family. Something future college star something. My parents were always blunt. What happened next was my choice. After a lot of thinking and deciding that termination just wasn't for me, I respect that right. I'm not here to debate it, it was just not for me. I chose to give up the baby for adoption. My parents knew a super sweet couple who were looking to adopt. We met, and I just knew they were the right people. This turned from a teen mistake into almost a surrogacy. I started homeschooling to finish my education and to get some rest. The adoptive parents were with me for everything and even paid for most of the medical costs. The adoptive mother was a teacher, so she helped me with my schoolwork and prepared me for college. They were present for the birth, and I refused to hold the baby. Instead, his actual mother did. And it was just right. I've stayed in the baby's life in a distant role as a special aunt. Well, he's no longer a baby, and he knows who I am, but his mom is the same woman who raised him, and I continue to be his special aunt. The only change is that now he knows who to call if he ever needs a kidney. His sense of humor is like mine, go figure. We talk maybe once in a blue moon, which, in all honesty, is for the best. He's happy, and I don't regret giving him up so he could have a happy life. For my part, I married 6 years ago. My husband, Aaron, 44M, was divorced on good terms with Bella, 40F. They have 2 children together, a boy who is 16 and a girl who is 19. Aaron made it clear from the start that his kids' approval was important and that Bella would always be part of his life. Not as a spouse, but as a friend and the mother of his children. I also told both Bella and him about my teen pregnancy. As for the kids, my stepdaughter and I get along well. She's obviously closer to her mother, but she still does girls' days with me every so often. It's more like a friendship, though. My stepson is incredibly close to me. He calls me his other mom and always asks me to be present for important events. We bonded when his childhood dog passed away, as my cat died around the same time. As for Bella and me, we're best friends. I know people have complicated relationships with their partner's exes, but we always show respect to each other. I never tried to take her place. I know Aaron and she shared something special long before I was in the picture. That's their history. And I am a stepmom, not a mom. Her place in the kids' lives is not up for competition. The reason for this background is that the whole mess with Mike started when I took my stepson to a medical appointment. It wasn't serious, though he did have to be put under anesthesia. Aaron and Bella both couldn't get the day off. They tried, but their jobs are on call, and they can't easily take time off. So I went on my own to be my stepson's support. I didn't recognize Mike as one of the doctors. His first and last names are incredibly common, and it had been years. Not to mention, my priority was being there for my stepson, everything else was secondary. After my stepson was done, he was a bit out of it, as expected. I was setting him up in the car and making sure he was comfortable when Mike came over. He told me he had been thinking about me and our son for so long and that he was glad our boy was okay. It really took me a few minutes for my brain to process what was going on, and he kept rambling about apologies and how he wasn't ready to be a father. Blah blah blah. Eventually, I just sighed and loudly said, "This is not the baby I was pregnant with." I gave him up for adoption after I gave birth. I am a stepmother. My loopy stepson chimed in with, "Other mom." I had to hold back a smirk, to be honest. Mike was stunned by that, which gave me time to catch him up on the important details. I gave up the baby, he knows what happened and why I gave him up. I married a man with 2 children, I am happy, and I don't want Mike in my life. And no, I won't give him contact information for the adoptive family. He is 16 years too late. That was the end of it, and I got into my car to take my stepson home to rest. Since then, Mike found me on social media and has been spreading a sob story about me denying him the chance to be a father. According to him, I was a poor mother who threw away her child to raise someone else's kids. Apparently, I'm the she-devil. Most of our former classmates who saw the post reminded him that he left me. Some of his high school friends even pointed out that he laughed about leaving me pregnant. I didn't know that part. A few of his relatives have reached out to bash me for taking away Mike's chance to be a father, claiming that it makes me a poor Christian. I'm not. I'm Jewish, to begin with. A few friends told me it was a beach move to give the baby up without telling Mike. I don't personally think I was in the wrong, but just in case, I decided to leave the judgment to the internet masses. So, Reddit, am I the jerk here? Relevant comments. Commenter. One thing, knowing nothing about how this works, I assume you were able to get Mike's parental rights terminated given that he left. If not, I wonder if it makes sense to give the adoptive family a heads up that he's coming out of the woodwork. Ops response. It wasn't done with his consent. He was MIA. When the adoption process began, we tried to reach out, but his family wouldn't even have a conversation. The judge involved tried to have the courts contact him, but he didn't respond either. Eventually, the abandonment timeframe was met, and his rights were terminated for abandonment. Mine were willingly terminated since I presented myself as an unfit mother. Commenter 2. Mike was one of the doctors for your stepson's surgery? Ops response. He wasn't one of our doctors, just a doctor in the hospital. I spent about 2 hours in the waiting room, so I suspect he recognized me. His name was on a plaque with all the doctors' names, and I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I should have, I was just stressed and not really thinking. Commenter 3. Not the jerk, tell him that if he and his friends don't leave you alone, you'll report him to the medical board. Also, maybe ask your son if he wants Mike's contact info, but warn his parents that he's bad news. It's your birth son's choice, not yours. Ops response. The adoptive parents and my biological child have a phone number to contact Mike's parents if they ever want to. I have no say in whether they do or not. I just won't give Mike any information about them. Commenter 4. These people are absolutely psycho and need to be blocked yesterday. Your bio kid might decide for himself to try and find his bio dad one day, but it's your job to defend his privacy until then, and to make sure his decision is informed, that he knows his bio dad is a complete jerk. Ops response. I told him everything when his parents decided it was time to tell him who I really was. I didn't make Mike into a villain, just said he left after I told him I was pregnant and never reached out. He's been clear that while I am his biological mother and Mike is his biological father, he doesn't see either of us as parents. I am his aunt, and Mike is a stranger. Update 17 days later. This is probably the one and only update I'll be doing. I'm going to start with the important matter. A lot of people were worried about my biological kid, what he wanted when it came to Mike. Well, I got his permission to post this. He spoke to Mike once, a few days after I told him where he could find Mike. I won't share all the details, only the final decision. There won't be any more contact between them. The kid doesn't want a second dad, and Mike wasn't willing to be in his life unless he had the position of dad. So he's going no contact with Mike. There was more to it, but it's very personal, and I feel it's not my place to share. The kid and I will continue to have a relationship as aunt and nephew. And he knows that whatever he needs medically, I'll always be first in line to give blood, a kidney, etc. For those wondering why Mike is so big on contacting the kid, I found out a few details via his friends. Mike can have more kids, he just hasn't had a stable relationship in years. Which I can believe, since I finally had enough and decided to accept going to have coffee with him to get some things squared away. My husband came, of course, but he sat at another table to let me deal with it. I asked him to. The conversation was a dumpster fire, to be honest. Mike brought me flowers and chocolate-covered strawberries, my old favorites. He treated it all like some date. I nipped that in the bud immediately. I introduced my husband and told him we were very much in love and happy, so I don't appreciate any attempts at unwanted romance. Once we sat down, he started by telling me what I already knew, that he had failed relationships. That he felt no woman could meet his standards for a wife and mother to his children since he already saw me as that. He claimed he felt guilty for choosing college over me and our baby. He was well aware of the court dates regarding custody and that I was trying to put the baby up for adoption. When he saw me taking care of my stepson, he thought I had chickened out of giving the baby away. Seeing me be all caring with our baby boy made him think about how great it would be if the three of us could be a family, and maybe have a bigger family down the road. He had the gall to ask me if I would consider divorcing my husband and trying to fight for custody of our son. I have to admit, I laughed in his face. I was probably overly cruel, but I had years of stress, heartache, and judgmental encounters to drop on him. I told him all I saw in him was a coward who, instead of staying to make adult decisions, decided to run with the help of mommy and daddy. That any love I had for him died the day I had to push out a whole human being, and instead of knowing I had his support, there was a big empty spot where the dad was supposed to be. That I almost ruined my life, had to throw away prom, senior pictures, and even graduation, because I was far too pregnant to party, appear in the yearbook, or walk on stage to get my diploma. He got to party and enjoy life while I had to fight tooth and nail for an inch of respect, yet we both had unprotected intimacy. After I calmed down, I simply told him I had a happy life with a man who loves me. Great stepkids who are the greatest gift. A best friend who lets me be a stepmom to her children. A nephew whom I adore and who, despite our history as biological mother and child, Still loves me as his special aunt rather than hating me. My family is perfect because he's not part of it, and I have no intention of living in his fantasy. And I can't wait to get pregnant with my husband's child to add to that perfection. I also told him to leave our biological kid alone. He has made his choice, and it's up to him if he ever reaches out to Mike. I also let him know I would be making a formal complaint to his hospital for his harassment. Good thing my husband took screenshots, because by the time we got home, Mike had deleted all his posts. A lot of his former friends reposted screenshots making fun of him. The silver lining in all of this is that I have reconnected with my high school classmates, and to be honest, they are great people. Seems Mike is in the handful who stayed stuck in their school hype mindset. It's been about 3 days, and no sign of Mike. My husband did get the biggest ego boost when he overheard me going off on Mike and has been insufferable, in a good way. So there's mostly good news. Hopefully, one of these days, we'll get even more good news since we're actually excited about the idea of having a baby together. Relevant comments. Commenter. So, you are aware of the practices of adoption and the fact that biological fathers have no rights? You are aware that even if the biological dad is standing right there saying, "Give me the child," he has no right to keep the child unless the biological mother agrees or the biological father goes to court and fights it before the adoption papers are signed. Anyone who engages in adoption practices without giving both biological parents the opportunity to object is wrong, full stop. He is a jerk for different reasons, but she fully admits she put the kid up for adoption without his input. That makes her wrong. You're right, I do have a giant chip on my shoulder because adoption is human trafficking and is unethical and wrong. It is a permanent and irreversible legal procedure that the person most affected has no ability to consent to or object to. The entire adoption industry is based on lies and coercion and, statistically, is not actually better for the child. She was absolved for making a unilateral decision because the other parent also sucks, but I won't give that to her. 2 wrongs don't make a right, and she absolutely, all day every day, was wrong for not getting his consent before giving up his child. Ops response. Tell me, oh wise one, how the hell was I supposed to get his input when he fled to another state without contacting me, the court, or even his own high school buddies? Would it have been better if I had terminated the kid? Saved myself the trouble? Should I have ditched him in a river and let wolves raise him, Jungle Book style? Or oh wait, let me guess, I should have raised him in squalor with what little I could make, with no education, no stability, and just pray that one day my sweet Mike would return to save us. Screw off, no kid deserves that crap. He has been loved since the day he came into this world by 2 people who would move earth and sky to ensure he had the best education, the best opportunities, and the best future they could provide, things I couldn't even imagine providing when I was 16. If Mike had really wanted the baby and said so, I would have happily given him custody. If he had wanted to co-parent with all the responsibilities that come with it, dividing costs, providing stability, planning ahead, I would have been 100% on board. But no, he left, he escaped. He chose to disappear. Fine, then I, the person who couldn't run, made the decisions on my own. That's life, honey. Get used to it. You don't get a prize for running away and coming back when the game is almost done. Commenter 2. Call the burn center because there's a 3rd-degree burn coming in. And the person you replied to deserved it.